make up something in my mind. I'm like, decide I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in. You have to have that little bit of like crazy inside you. Sports came very easy to me. Every single number I wrote down, I hit at the Olympic track. I did not have the mindset of a champion.
Today on NeuroVision Edge Podcast, I'm honored to welcome Annie Kunz, U.S. Olympian, track and field star, and one of the most versatile athletes in the world. Annie's made her mark as a heptathlete, which we'll get into, competing in 7 different events at the highest level of sport and representing Team USA at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which is not that long ago. But Annie's story goes far beyond just medals and records. From her days as a standout multi-sport athlete in college to the grit and total resilience it took to rise to the Olympic stage, Annie embodies what it means to adapt, to make a neural adaptation, to push the limits, and to perform under pressure. And today we're going to dive deep into her journey, the mindset that was really a big requirement to allow her to thrive in multiple sports, and the lessons learned along the way that every athlete can take from her pursuit of excellence. So Annie, we're super excited to have you on and excited to learn about your journey. So yeah, of course. So let's start there. Tell me about how did you get through a lot of the obstacles? Start off where you're a high school athlete. Where did you see yourself from a high school athlete going forward to dreaming about the Olympics?
Even just from a young age, had big dreams and aspirations and goals for myself in terms of athletics. I showed from a very early age. My brother and sister, 10 and 8.5 years older. So I got thrown in when I was like 2.5, I think, in my first track race in the 50-yard dash, I think. So from a very early age, my parents knew there was something there. And through my adolescence, all the way through high school, I'll be honest, sports came very easy to me. I always joke I was like the lazy but talented athlete, but I always had big goals. There's even an interview, I think, from high school, and they'd asked me, what do you want to be an Olympian? Because I was a dual sport athlete for so long, and they're like, do you want track or soccer? And I was like, I want to be an Olympian both. Like, I always just had big goals for myself. So at that point, it was like, where can I go to school that will set me up for success to pursue both of these, and then make a decision later down the line of which one I'd pursue just individually. I didn't want to give it up for college, so I really wanted to find the place that was going to let me do both track and soccer, and that landed at Texas A&M University. So that kind of started my path. I was always a soccer player. Soccer was my main sport up until my 5th year at Texas A&M. It was my scholarship for school. It's a team sport, so I just had always prioritized it. They're in the same season in Colorado, so it was really just, practicing with the soccer team and then showing up to track meets when I could. So I really didn't start training or practicing track and field until I was in college, which is kind of crazy. So I was definitely like a late bloomer.
Wild.
Yeah.
Most track and field athletes who are competing at the Olympic level, what age do they start?
I think they hone in earlier than I did. I think they're definitely practicing full time more than just before college, for sure. But I would say, 8th grade through high school is probably when people start to get really serious about it. I think they complement each other, soccer and track. I always felt like they complemented each other really well. And I just was really stubborn and not willing to give one up. It's so hard these days, especially. I think it's gotten even harder with club teams and things like that. But I loved both, and I wasn't ready to give either one up. So it was really just finding the place that was going to allow me to do both.
Yeah. Nowadays, even back then, but you have travel soccer, you have soccer in high school. That alone, soccer alone takes up so much time.
Oh yeah. And we were like ECNL team. So we were traveling all over the country for soccer. And so, yeah, I could probably count on 2 hands the amount of like full practices I had in track for high school. So I just think I didn't realize my potential as much in the sport until a later age. There was glimpses obviously in high school, but I was a state champion and I had tons of, state championships and stuff like that. But I think it's in terms of like professional and elite level, I didn't really know my ceiling or potential in track and field until my 5th year at Texas A&M.
So what changed that 5th year that made you transition into taking it more seriously?
Like I said, my scholarship was soccer, so it was like they're paying for me. So you got to prioritize them more. I was technically like a walk-on for track and field. And then my class for soccer ended up being probably the best class I've ever had. It was 10 of us, and we were all the best from where we came from. And I think we had like 3 or 4 Gatorade Players of the Year in our class. So we were a really studded team class, and they knew knew going into our senior year, we had the potential to go to Final Four. And A&M had never gone to Final Four before. I think they'd been to Elite Eight a few times, like consistently a Sweet 16 team. So they actually sat me down after that season, and they just said, we really want you to not have to play catch up coming into the fall again, because I would just go from in season to in season. I would finish soccer season. I jumped straight into indoor track season, and then I would just show up at preseason again. So I really miss those foundational parts of the year for both track and soccer. Soccer, the heavier lifting, the more fitness stuff. With track, it was all the technical foundational things that set up for the outdoor season. So I kind of missed both of those for both sports, which was tough. But I liked it because I didn't get burnt out of either one. So when they sat me down, I just kind of talked it over with my parents, and we decided I needed another year for school anyway. I could only take so many hours just being in season every semester. So I needed a fifth year anyway. And so it made sense, I thought, to redshirt that last season and do just soccer and lead into our last season with that foundational spring season under my belt and not really have to play catch up. And then for the first time in my life, transitioned to just track and field. And that was the only focus. And that's kind of when everything took off for me, where I qualified for the Rio Olympic trials. I broke the school record that year. I think I went in I think it was 22 or 20 girls qualify for the Olympic trials. And I think I was second to last or dead last, I don't remember. And I finished 8th overall. So it really just opened up my eyes. I was like, wow, I didn't know my potential in track and field. And that's kind of where I decided to pursue it full time and got recruited from there to come train out in Chula Vista in San Diego at the Olympic Training Center full time. And it's been a crazy ride ever since.
I can't even imagine. I mean, that your story is so different than how most Olympic athletes have started training, right?
It really is. And I think that's why I try to share it so much, because I think you see Olympians a lot of times and you think, oh, they've been top of the top since they started the sport. It wasn't the case for me at all. And so I try to share my story because I've been through a lot of adversity. I wasn't always the most talented. I was at a younger age, but it's once you get to college, I've gone back to my college coaches. I'm like, did you ever think that I'd be the one that turned into be an Olympian? And they're like, not a shot. So I just really try to share that because I just want people to know that if they do have a dream and a goal, never count yourself out. And it takes a lot of hard work and discipline and dedication, but all things are possible for sure.
Well, it sounds like you had the correct mindset. Once you made up your mind and you just flew and you took off.
Yeah.
So how does someone who may not have that mindset developed, how do you work on something like that? Is that something natural or can that be worked on?
I think that it's a combination. I think that, innately you have to have that drive inside you and that passion, kind of like we talked about, having something that you're passionate about, that you want to get out there every day, that you have that innate drive to pursue. I think that's a piece of it. I've always had that. My parents talk about it all the time. It's I make up something in my mind. I'm decide I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in. I don't really have a middle ground. It's 0 or 1,000. Yeah. Partially you have to have that little bit of crazy inside you to pursue something and have that innate drive. But I will say that motivation comes and goes all the time. It really is not something that you can rely on no matter how passionate about something you are. That's just being human. And so I think having systems in place and just having systems in place to fall on discipline when that motivation is lacking is the thing that I've found been the most helpful for me, just to have things that I know I can stick to when your emotions get the best of you and you're not feeling like showing up that day. You just have to have systems in place that you can fall onto, because motivation will not get you there.
And that's so important, because for many people listening, they might be at the top of their sport right now, with the competition that they're facing. But as you get to that higher college, even beyond that Olympian level, the competition is milliseconds, right? Yeah. And so 1 or 2 days where you're inefficiently training or not training, that can be big. That can be the big difference.
Yeah, it's huge. At all different levels, even if you are one of the best at some point in your life, you're going to hit a moment where everyone is talented. Everyone has the capabilities to make the team or win the championship. It really comes down to the mindset. Like that really to me is the biggest differentiator in who wins and who doesn't, and who has that championship mindset and who doesn't, because there are girls that are more talented than me for sure. Like I'll admit that 1,000%. But on that Olympic year, I was just so dialed in my mindset that it set me apart for sure. I think, and probably the biggest reason that I'm an Olympian today is because I worked on my mindset and my mental game every single day. For that whole year, I worked with a mental coach. And at that point, going into the Olympic season, I had kind of figured it out finally with my body and getting my body to optimal performance, and my technique and everything was really taking off. I was really hitting my stride in the sport, just from a technical side and speed and strength and all of that. My body was ready. My mind wasn't. I really had to sit there and dive into that and figure out how to have an Olympic mindset if I really wanted to make the team. That was the biggest thing for me that allowed me to become an Olympian for sure.
Can we dive deep into that Olympic mindset and kind of the systems that you used to help you achieve there when you lacked motivation? And those kind of kept you either afloat or even pushed you beyond. If we can talk about those systems and then how that created that Olympic mindset.
I think the first thing that I always recommend people is get a freaking coach. Like get someone to help you. Reach out for help 1,000%. That for me was the biggest thing that allowed me to put those systems in place and learn the systems that I need to be working on daily and have someone to hold me accountable to those things. It takes a village 1,000%. And you get a coach when you want to lose weight. You get a nutrition coach. And it's like, when you want to work on your mindset, get a mental coach, get a therapist, put those systems in place. They're going to hold you accountable. So that's number one for sure. In terms of like motivation and what the things that I would fall back on, A, is a support system. Always have a solid support system, friends and family, coaching, mental coach, a therapist, really have those systems in place. So those are the people that you can fall back on when you're struggling and you're in a harder place, that are going to really try to help get you out of it. That's a huge thing. Having systems for all of the controllables. So like, what can I control in this moment? I can control my nutrition for sure. So make sure that's dialed in. I can control my rehab and prehab. I can control if I get to practice early and I do a meditation to get my mind right before practice. So all of those things, even meetings with my coaches to make sure that we have a plan and a solid outline of the season, so that I feel like I have steps towards the big goals. Because that's one of the biggest things I think, especially when it comes to like the Olympics and wanting to become Olympian or win a championship or whatever it is. You have these big goals that are super easy to focus on, but it's way down the line. And it's like, you need to zoom in a little bit and think about the goals that are like your daily, weekly, monthly goals that are going to get you to that bigger goal. Because if you're just writing in your journal, I want to be an Olympian every day, it's like, okay, that's great. That's great. I do that as well. But you also need to think about, okay, what are the daily habits that are in my control that I can fall back on when I'm not motivated, that I know are going to get me to those bigger goals. And I'm even, taking that into my life, not trying to be an Olympian. And so those are just like life things that I think are really important.
Yeah. And that is so key. Controlling what you can control, right? Yeah. There's always going to be circumstances like injuries where you may not be able to control that aspect of how quickly you can recover from or adapt from that. But controlling that nutrition aspect or doing the right things for your mindset, for your internal self. I mean, those are just so big, and it goes beyond even competing.
Absolutely.
Right. So, you built those systems with the help of a lot of coaches, a lot of therapists. Now, how did you develop the Olympic mindset? Was that caused from just the experiences that you had through the different coaching, and then you developed your own kind of system where you developed your mindset, or was it just a constantly evolving thing for you?
I think it was always evolving for sure. But I think, having my mental coach, the thing that transformed my mindset just as an athlete completely is the practice of mindfulness. That was probably the biggest thing that, I say, train your brain every day. It's like, do a meditation every single day, morning and night. Like, that's what I was doing. I was doing a meditation every single day. I'm having intentions for my practice. That kind of goes back to those like daily systems that you have to get you to your bigger goals. It's like, set an intention for the practice, which could be numerical. It could be like, okay, I want to hit this time in this run or whatever. But it also is set an intention for your mindset. Like, who do I want to be through this practice when something goes wrong or I get frustrated frustrated and the event is not going the way that I want it to, how do I navigate that and implement mindfulness practice so that I can implement it at a meet on the big stage? It's like a daily practice in that regard. How many years out from this? And I still notice the times that when I'm not in that system of putting daily practices and systems in place to work on my mindset, I'm the most miserable. It's like, it makes such a difference. And it doesn't just like click and then you just have it. It's something that you consistently have to work at and train your subconscious. I think that's the biggest thing. The mindfulness practice was just training my subconscious to compete so I can get to optimal performance in a meet.
Can you show me an example of how you do your mindfulness practice? Is this something that is like 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How long is this? And could you walk us through a simple mindfulness practice that you used to do prior to a meet?
Yeah, so they would vary. Typically, my morning ones would be a little bit quicker, just because I just don't have quite as much time. So my morning meditations would typically be like a 15-minute meditation. The ones in the morning are more, focused on grounding and, being present and setting intentions for the day, things like that. My evening meditations that I would do are more body scans, and those are typically longer. So like the one that I would do the night before a meet was like a 45-minute meditation, which feels like you're like, wow, 45 minutes of just stillness. And they're challenging. It's hard to sit still and like be in it for that long. But the body scan the night before a meet, I feel just did a really good job of me getting really in tune with my body and feeling the sensations and just priming my body and my mind ready for competition for sure. So those would be like the two things that I would do morning and evening.
The body scan and the longer meditation, are you completely still and you're visualizing the movement of your body?
So a lot of them are guided. A lot of them are like guided body scans. You can do non-guided. Those ones are definitely harder for me. I usually fall asleep when I don't have a guided one. And even the guided 45-minute one, sometimes, once you're 30 minutes deep, but it's kind of good because it relaxes your mind. And the night before competition can be so much anxiety and it's really hard to turn your brain off. So I find that is a really good way to just calm my nervous system and get my body and mind to relax in a positive way that's also getting me in tune with everything. And that's mindfulness, is just really learning the practice of presence and feeling the sensations in your body, being aware of what's happening and kind of having an outside perspective of what's going on in your brain. So that's like I'm trying to remember the phrase that my mental coach and it was like you're at the door and like your neighbor's walking by and like your neighbor is like the emotion that is happening in your body. So you're kind of witnessing it from a different perspective, and that allows you to accept it and then move on to the next thing that you're trying to accomplish. That's kind of a little bit of an insight, I guess, of like my brain in terms of competition.
That's so interesting. The imagery I'm imagining is like an out-of-body experience where you're almost internalizing that emotion and the thoughts and the possible future outcomes and going through a very relaxed state. That's super
well, it allows you to get more in control. And a lot of times I think, especially in high pressure situations where anxiety is high, adrenaline is high, you can allow your emotions to get the best of you. And I think that could be the downfall for athletes. I think that is what separated me on that year for sure, because I'm an emotional person. Let me tell you, ask my fiance. He's like, she's very emotional. So it's challenging. It's very challenging. But to have that tool set to be able to witness emotions and not let them get the best of you, not let them derail the whole meet. I mean, you have to have that in the heptathlon. There's 7 events. It's like you have to have the ability to have short-term memory loss and accept things good or bad and be able to move on to the next, or you'll never be successful.
It's amazing. I mean, 7 events. We're definitely going to get into that. I'm assuming you're still doing some mindfulness things in the morning, even now.
Yeah, I feel like it's different in my life, just where I'm at right now. Like I walk every morning. I live near the beach. So that's kind of my like me time where I'm like, okay, I'm going to like either listen to a podcast on the way down. And then I usually like once I get to the ocean, I take it out. I just am quiet in my own mind. And that's my own version of like meditation or prayer or whatever the grounding that I'm feeling I need that day. So about 10 or 15 minutes maybe of that. So that's kind of like how it looks for me now, just not actively competing. But I do notice the times that I kind of like I mentioned, that I'm the most uneasy, most anxious, unhappy are typically when I steer away from those habits that I know set me up for success, that I know get my mind right and set me up for success for the day.
Do you still do the intentionality mixing with the mindfulness now
Mm-hmm.
today?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just meeting with I have like a business coach now, just launching, I just launched my app and just kind of moving into that transition of my life with the business side, which I've turned left for a living for 10 years. So it's all new. It's all very new and uncharted territory. And, I was talking with her and she just said, you've done this. You've done all of this. She's like, the practices that you did trying to reach the Olympics, just implement them now. So I've actually just started again, kind of going to those systems that I knew that helped me so much on that Olympic year in my journey to become an Olympian in just real life, and writing the intentions, writing the I am statements of like what I want to accomplish right now every single day in my journal, things like that. It really does make a difference. And it's neuroscience, like truly it's science. Like if you write something down enough and you trick your brain into believing it, and that's what I talk about a lot. It's like, that year I wrote down goals that I probably didn't believe them until I did it at the Olympic trials. I wrote them down and it felt like a freaking far-fetched dream goal that I'm like, I'm nuts for writing this down, but I'm going to keep writing it. And I had just made a post on my social media. Actually, you can go check it out on Instagram, but it's a post of my journal entries and my goal writing for the full year. Every day for a year, I wrote it down. It is like me too. And then, run 12:9 in the hurdles. And I had it, all the things that I wanted to accomplish, basically. Every single number that I wrote down, I hit at the Olympic trials. Like it was crazy. I had 5 personal bests at that meet. And the first meeting that I walked into with my coach, I told him I want to score 6,700 points. I'd only scored 6,150 prior to this.
Wow.
So if you don't know track and field, that's a lot. It's a big gap. And, he looked at me like, okay, that's a big goal. Like, all right. And I scored 6,703 at Olympic trials. Like it's just crazy. So that is proof that this shit works. Like it is neuroscience and you just have to stick with it. Obviously you need a level of talent and the discipline and, all the other controllables. But if you really nail that stuff down and focus on all the things that are in your control and set yourself up for success to compete like that, as well as the mindset, it's like the perfect combo.
Do you feel like if you did not do that, if you didn't write the 6,700, that you wouldn't have reached it? It's a big F.
Probably not, to be honest. And that's even too just, the mindset stuff and just, books that I've read. A lot of it is just your self-image and improving your self-image. Because if you don't have the self-image and that you can do it, you're never going to. And that's a similar conversation that I've had with even just like my business coach. She's like, what's your self-image say? Like, what do you think you're capable of right now? And then to be really honest with yourself. And so I just think if I didn't have those systems in place, really nailing down what I want to accomplish and continuing to tell myself that and have the affirmations, have my goals up on my mirror, write it down in my journal every day. It's really tricking your brain into believing it. Like, I don't think belief is something that you just innately get. I think you have to have a level of it initially, but I really think that belief and confidence comes from repetition and preparation. That's my belief and that's my experience. Confidence for sure is just feeling prepared and like you've done the things that you're ready to do to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, this has been researched over and over, yet people still every day are surprised that it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I mean, it was just crazy because, I pulled out my journal recently, just digging out through old stuff. And I'm just like blown away by it, but it works. It's true.
So if someone wanted to do this, let's say, they're a college level athlete, they are thinking about possibly competing at the Olympic level. The way you did it was very intentional. I mean, you were very specific with your goals. You didn't just write, I want to be Olympian.
Yeah.
You were very specific. So what if you had like a very short instructional guide on how to do this correctly with the journaling, what would you say to that athlete?
Well, I feel like the journaling, and that's actually funny. Like I'm trying to come up with like a mentorship, create a guide for this stuff because I feel like it is so beneficial and has helped me so much. But I think, for sure I would have 2 journals. I would have like your goals journal and then I would have like your performance journal. That's going to be the one you're taking to practice every day. That's where you're setting your intentions for the day. That's where you're setting your goal for the day, both mental and physical. Like that would be something that I for sure would recommend. Like I think a lot of times people get caught up in the numbers and the outcomes. And that's what, that's sport, right? It's like, who's the fastest? Who's the best? Who can jump the furthest? So sometimes you can get caught up in the numbers. My definite recommendation would be set intentions for who you want to be through that practice. How do you want to handle adversity today? What intention do you have on the mindset things to achieve? And then at the end of the practice, give yourself a rate, like scale it. Was I a 2 today? Like, did I just fall off the rails and couldn't get back on and let my emotions get the best of me and it was a wash? Or was I able to navigate that and I, give myself a 9.5 today because I freaking crushed it. And I came back after feeling terrible and having a horrible practice. I flipped it around and I came back and I executed what I needed to execute. Writing down your intentions for what you want to execute both mentally and physically, and then giving you a scale of how you did in accomplishing those each day. That's super helpful. And kind of like I said, daily goals, I would have weekly goals and then monthly goals for all of those. And then definitely sitting down with your coach and making it collaborative. Don't think that you have to do it all alone. Just really being collaborative and seeing what your coach thinks you need to work on for that month. Or, hey, where do we think we want to be in 30 days with this, and this? That way it just feels like you're more in control and you have small stepping stones that you can hit that don't feel so overwhelming, like becoming an Olympian. Like if I'm just thinking about becoming an Olympian the whole year, it's like, oh my God, that's overwhelming. It can just you can crumble in that pressure. So it's really just like zooming in on the daily, monthly goals with your coach. I think that's huge. And then I would just have a specific goal writing journal that you're writing in the morning and then you're writing it at night. And this is just my personal preference. Gratitude was something that I always would come back to in what grounded me. And when I was at the Olympic trials, I said, okay, if I feel like I have triggers, so if I feel anxiety or whatever, I get triggered, I want to look in the stands and look at my family and like ground myself in gratitude for this opportunity that my parents are here watching me and I'm on the Olympic trials stage and whatever. So gratitude was a big thing that I would always come back to. Starting my morning in that journal with just a gratitude list, 3 things. It could be like, I'm just, grateful for this cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be anything overwhelming, but I think just starting your day with gratitude also sets the tone for a positive day and mindset. So that would be like my morning kind of routine. And then at night, you're really digging into those I am statements. And for me, it was, it's like me to be resilient. It is like me to come back from adversity. It is like me to run 12.9 in the hurdles. So they can be numerical, but it's also like who you want to be through this. And that's something that I really lean into a lot, especially this last Olympic cycle, training for Paris. It was a harder Olympic cycle, adversity in terms of injury. And I kind of lost the fun in it a little bit. And so that was something that my mental coach challenged me on a lot was, do you want to look at this experience, say you go win a gold medal? Do you want to look back and be like, wow, the Annie that I was through this journey was anxious. She was neurotic. She was unhappy. She was lonely. Do you want to be that Annie or do you want to be this Annie? Who do you want to be through this, win or lose? I'm really grateful for that because I think it reset me in a way where I was like, gosh, you know what? That's such a good point. Like, who do I want to be through this? And so just really setting those intentions and those goals at night, every single night, and that either I am or it's like me too. That would be my advice for sure.
Yeah, your journaling system, I love it. You're breaking down things in chunks. You're not just doing a long-term goal. You're breaking down things in chunks so people have almost like a guided path towards the goal. And then on top of that, you create a feedback. You're putting in your own notes of whether you even accomplished what you were trying to accomplish. So if you go off the path, you get back on the path. I love it.
Yeah, it's all data points, right? Like it's tracking. And that's what the performance journal is so important because it's like you want to know what you were doing when things are going well and you want to know what you were doing when things were not going well. So it's really just having those data points to track your progress. That's been super helpful for me.
Were you always this aware of yourself or do you feel like the journaling made you more aware?
No, I was not this aware. I feel like the Annie in like before 2019, it's a completely different Annie. And that's why it's just like, it's never too late. I look at who I was in college and who I am now, and it's a completely different person. So yeah, I don't think that I ever, it's not like I had these systems forever. I learned this, halfway through my professional career. It's definitely been a learning curve, but I'm so grateful. It's one of the things that I'm the most grateful for, just being the Olympic journey and not becoming an Olympian and going to the Olympics. It's really those systems and processes and lessons, the person that I became through all the adversity adversity that I'm more grateful for than the Olympics and the Olympic journey.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a small little byproduct.
Yeah. But it goes to show you, it's like that. Everyone says, enjoy the process. It's so true. Like, it really is so true. And you're obviously in that journey for the outcomes and for whatever goal it is. I always say to younger athletes too, it's like, even if you come up short of that goal, you're going to learn so much about yourself. It's going to carry you way beyond sport. So lean into those things and just know that, you're going to grow tremendously through the process.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact of everything you did there to get that awareness, to have a mindset for success. I mean, now that you're going into business and helping others, I have zero doubt that you're tremendously successful and helped so many people. Because if you didn't do that with your whole journey and you just graduated college, got a job, I don't know if someone would have actually gone out to try to train a mindset, to try to take neuroscience in action to be able to create what you have created through your whole system and internal awareness.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, it's the thing that I'm the most grateful for. The sport and the Olympic journey forced me into that and forced me to really sit with myself and look in the mirror and be like, okay, you're so emotional. Your emotions get the best of you. My body language would change mid-practice. I wouldn't be able to get out of it. I did not have the mindset of a champion or an Olympian in any regard. And so I really had to work diligently to change that. But it's possible. I'm proof that it is possible. It just takes a lot of discipline and effort and passion towards your goals, for sure.
And daily small actions, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's the little stuff, for sure.
So if we transition back to the 7 events that you competed in, I mean, that has got to be tiring.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing so many different things there. Yeah. Like, how did you, train and make that happen with decision making and with the fatigue, cognitive and body-wise? How'd you handle all that?
I mean, the heptathlon is grueling. It is one of the most challenging events, for sure.
Can you explain what it is for some people?
Yeah. The women's version of the decathlon. So most people recognize the decathlon. It's 10 events in track and field over 2 days. We do 7 events over 2 days. People are always talking about changing the decathlon. I'm like, please, God, no. Like, we're good with 7. Like, I don't need more. I'm good. And it's based on a point system. So however far you throw, down to like millimeters, to the times that you run, down to millisecond, you get a certain amount of points for each score. And then they add that up at the end for your total. And that's how they rank. Second, third. 100-meter hurdles is the first event. High jump, shot put 200. And then day 2 is the long jump, javelin, the 800.
That's a lot. Walk us through kind of how you created a system for yourself for succeeding in that as well.
It really just goes back to the mindfulness stuff. And it just takes a long time, especially me, obviously, being a soccer player for so long. Just the technical side of the events took me a lot longer to start figuring out, because I'd never had those fall foundational months in the sport to kind of set me up. So I was just kind of winging it, just doing the best that I could. So I think that's the biggest thing that, once I decided to move to California full time and train and pursue this, I finally got that technical training that I was just lacking. I was really just going off of talent and, even just the speed development that I got a lot faster once I struggled for like 2 years. And then after that, I got a lot better, but my speed development, being around world-class coaches, at the Olympic Training Center, Jeremy Fisher, Al Joyner, just names that are really, really well known in the track world that I was able to learn from. And being also just at the Olympic Training Center, you're with a group of athletes that they all have the same goal. We're all a little crazy doing everything we can to try to become Olympians. But then you're also just learning from the best of the best. We're out there with Ryan Krauser at shot put practice. Ryan Krauser is like the best of all time. And so just to get little tidbits from him and tips and things, it was amazing. So I feel like I was in a really great environment to set myself up to be successful. And then obviously, the mindset stuff is probably the biggest piece of just being able to navigate different situations through the heptathlon. Because if you go into a heptathlon thinking you're going to have like the perfect meet, you're setting yourself up for success. Like, something is bound to go wrong. You're going to deal with something. It's 2 full days. So a lot lot of it, just getting through that, is nutrition and hydration. That was integral to my success as well. Just making sure I'm fueling the right way. And then you obviously go from like a sprint race, 100-meter hurdle race, where it's adrenaline. You don't think, you go. Like, yeah, you hear the gun and you go. You really are not thinking. And then you have to kind of transition into those field events where you might have 30 minutes in between jumps where you're just sitting there with your mind, and it can go wild. So that's where that mindfulness practice and, breathing techniques and putting systems in place of like, what's my system in between those events or in between my jumps? Like, what am I thinking about? What am I visualizing? What am I maybe journaling? Just kind of figuring out what works for you as an athlete. That's really where the mindset stuff came in. And then just, training it every day, training your subconscious. So that's the piece where if you're not putting those systems in place daily, and like the 15-minute meditation here and there, or the body scan or whatever, you don't have that subconsciously yet. So that's the thing where, like, for example, like at the Olympics, I almost fell in the hurdles, came out blazing. I was like first 4 hurdles, and then I almost ate it. I almost fell. So I lost like half a second in that race, which is like 60 points, which is a lot. And that's the first race, right? So in years past, 1,000%, that would have been the end of my knee. I wouldn't have recovered. I wouldn't have known how to bounce back. You literally can see it in the video when you watch it back. I crossed the finish line, and I have this moment where it's like, oh, dang. But then it's over. It's like I accepted it, did the best with what happened and what the cards that I was dealt, and then I literally left it behind. I jumped all season at the Olympics. Wow. So that's just the subconscious, to be present and accepting. And because that's the hardest thing, I think, with the heptathlon. You can get so caught up in anxiety versus depression. It's like you're anxious about the event that's coming, and your mind can go there before you're even done with what you're doing. Or it's the depression of like, God, I just messed up that meet or that event and I'm screwed. How am I going to make up the points? And you're just stuck in that. It's really just finding the ability to navigate those situations and be present and accepting of whatever is coming.
Right. And that's the key. And that's so hard for a lot of people.
And that's why it takes daily practice, because it's not easy. I would be lying to you today if I said it's easy now. If you're not practicing that, if you're not, working on your self-image every day and working on training your subconscious to think like that, it's not going to happen. It's too hard.
So just journaling, one time isn't going to get you anywhere.
No.
You have to do it multiple times a day.
Or I'm going to meditate just the night before the meet. Like, that ain't going to work. I'm speaking from experience because I've been that where like was so diligent through the Olympic year. And then it's like, you kind of just want to break. You're like, okay, I'm just tired of being on all the time. Like, I don't want to be on. I want to like have a break. It's like, I've done this. I get it. I know how to like think in competition. And I struggled after I got injured the year after because I wasn't doing it as often. I was doing it the night before the meet or the 2 days before a meet, but I just didn't have that subconscious trained enough where it just happened naturally. It was really, really tough. So I can speak from experience. It really, really, really just takes daily work.
That's amazing. You mentioned visualization. Where do you incorporate that visualization? Is it something you do, again, as a daily practice, or is this something you do like right before you're heading off into a competition?
I don't know if it was daily, but often for sure. A lot of times, like before I would go to bed or even like after my meditation or whatever, I just visualized the events that I was going to do the next day in practice. That would kind of help me go to sleep. And I always say too, it's like visualization, it's free reps. It doesn't tax your body at all. And your body doesn't know the difference. So visualizing is like such an easy way to just practice your events, especially like if you're injured and things like that. Like visualization was key because it's like, okay, my body can't move this way. So I have to visualize it. I have to train my body to think and feel what that might feel like and visualize what it looks like to execute with, because I can't do it right now when I'm injured. Yeah. So that was huge. I don't know if it was, every single day, but definitely 2 or 3 nights a week probably. And then before meets, it was every night the week before a meet for sure. Just constant, just thinking about it. And then it's also visualizing, while you're in practice. A lot of the stuff that I've implemented is it's called With Winning in Mind by Lonnie Bassam. He was like an Olympic shooter. Amazing book. But it's basically like your mental management system. So it's like coming up with your system that you can repeat over and over and over and over again. So it was just a list of steps that I would do before events where, I'm on the long jump runway and I'm going through my system. I'm visualizing, I'm feeling what it feels like in my body. And then I try to execute it. So yeah, visualization is like huge for sure.
Was there like a certain event that you felt wasn't your like top event that you visualized more for, or was it just you visualized for each event the same way?
I think you definitely are focusing more on the ones that most work that aren't going well. And then that's also something where it's like, okay, I'm not executing it physically the best, but I can visualize me executing it best in the right way. So that's a simple way at night where I can work on that event and try to improve my technical event.
What's like the most difficult for you to train for?
Javelin notoriously was the hardest for me for sure. Up until the last 3 years, it was always the event where we're like, oh no. We're like in a good spot. It's the second to last event. It's like, how far are we going to fall off before the 800? Like, how much faster am I have to run the 800 because I'm going to fall off in javelin? That for sure used to be me. Oh my gosh, yeah. But then it started clicking the last 3 years. I have the body for it. It just is such a foreign movement. It's like, especially Americans, we don't grow up throwing javelins. Definitely a European specialty. And it's all legs. You would think it's all upper body. It's all legs. It's just your lower body is doing something completely different than your upper body at the same time. It's just so foreign. So that was definitely my hardest event for a long time.
Would you mind walking through a visualization for throwing the javelin that you've done in the past?
Oh God. I mean, it's really just, standing at the back of the runway.
Eyes, or are your eyes open? My
eyes are definitely closed, and I go through the entire movement, start to finish, even from picking up the javelin, back of the runway. I'm closing my eyes. I'm going through the whole movement. I typically would start when they call my name for, you're on deck, someone's going, and then I'm on deck. That's really when I start my process, because my process was longer. So I wouldn't want to be rushed. You have a time constraint in track and field. So that's really where I start.
The event, you're on deck, event's coming up, and you're visualizing before you go up there.
Yeah, so that's where my eyes are closed. Typically, I'm visualizing it and feeling the sensations even in my body of what it feels like to execute what I'm trying to execute. So you're really trying to be in tune with the emotion, the sensations, all the things to really bring that movement to life in your mind. And then I would get on the back of the runway. That's where my eyes are open, but I'm doing the exact same process. Just my eyes are open. So I'm looking at my target and seeing myself do the exact same thing. And then I typically would have 2 or 3 cues after that visualization. 3 typically would be too much. I think 2 is the sweet spot, but 2 cues that I say to myself right before I go that are kind of like my triggers.
Could you share 1 or 2 of those?
For javelin, it's left foot hit, stay back, throw with your hip. That was one. Stay closed, left thumb down, because that would help me stay closed. So it's really simple stuff. I've found that if I make it too long or left thumb down, that's stay closed when your left foot hits. That's what it's doing, but left foot down is much easier for my brain. It's simple, right? Instead of or left arm closed when your left foot hits. It's no, just thumb down. That way it keeps it simple and it doesn't feel too confusing and too much to try to navigate.
And you already told your brain what you want to happen and how you can achieve it.
Yeah, and then you just have the 2 quick cues to execute
make sure
it
happens. That's neat. Yeah, I like that. I'm guessing those cues change
for sure. They're always changing. And that's the frustrating thing with track and field is you'll find a cue that works, and then 6 months later you're like, that cue is not working for me anymore. It's so frustrating. This used to work. It's not working. What's going on? So they're constantly changing.
I know you probably have to go, so just one last thing. Those athletes, not even just Olympics, but any athletes that are looking to level up, besides the mindfulness, because I think that is totally key, is there anything else that you would recommend that they spend energy on at a younger age? So that way, by the time they get to the high school, college time, or maybe not high school, but college and professional time, that they already have some tools that they don't have to start developing at that age.
Fueling and nutrition and getting my body to optimal performance, and then getting my mind to optimal performance. Those are the 2 things that are going to help you be as successful as you can. And they're controllables that you can really lock in that are going to set you up for success. My biggest advice, everyone is so different. It's not a one size fits all, especially for me. That was the case too. It's what might works for your teammate might not work for you. I'm getting my functional nutrition certification because you can look at labs, get your blood work done, and get your labs done. That way, you have the data points, you know what's happening in your body, you know where your deficiencies are, what hormone imbalances you have, and then work with either a practitioner or a functional nutritionist. That would be my recommendation to really get everything in balance at homeostasis. That is huge. And that for me was massive, massive change that I made. Biggest difference for sure. I think something that is super controllable that you can start at a young age. I think you can get away with it, especially in high school where you could eat Taco Bell 3 days in a row and it doesn't make a difference, it's like, and then you get to college and your body changes and you get the freshman 15 and it gets a little bit trickier. So my advice is like at a younger age, really lock in your nutrition because food is fuel and it will really make the biggest difference. Also, your health and injury prevention, all of those things. So that would definitely be my other piece of advice for sure if you're trying to level up.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much for all the valuable insights. I mean, that was just amazing. I'm going to link all your info down below. Can you also share a little bit more about the app you're working on and when that's going to be released?
The app is live. I just launched it last week or a week and a half ago. So it's live now. And it's called The Daily Dose by Annie. You can find it in my bio from my Instagram. My whole thinking and creating it was like a dose of medicine for your body, whether that's physical, mental, nutrition, whatever it is, fuel. So it's basically everything that I've learned in my journey to become an Olympian in one spot. So I'm going to have, workouts in there. I'll have my mindset category, which is journaling, prompt, exercises, goal setting, videos from me and tips and things that have helped me or challenges. That's a really good thing that can, hold people accountable and just give people systems to kind of jump in and be like, gosh, I need to work on my mind. What should I do today? And here's a journal prompt. That's kind of my goal there. Now I just have a lot of my recipes in there. I'm getting my functional nutrition certification. So as soon as I'm certified, I'll be dropping a ton of nutrition help and I'll be working one-on-one with people as well. I'm also working on, mentorship program that will be like a 6 or 8 week program for athletes to jump in and learn a lot of the stuff. And those hour calls where I can really break down all the things that have helped me. So a lot of things in the works for sure.
You're going to help so many people. This is going to be amazing.
That's my goal. A lot of this stuff I wish I found sooner, and that's my goal. I found it halfway through my professional career. So if I can help even just a few athletes find it sooner and hopefully help them get to their goals, that's my goal now. So
I mean, you didn't access a lot of these things until you went to an Olympic training center in San Diego, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that was hard for me. Even just the nutritionist that I worked with through the Olympics training center, through college, the things that they told me to do didn't work. It didn't help me. A lot of it just kind of goes back to the old school mentalities and things where high carb, like you need to be carb loading and things like that. And it didn't work for me. It was when I found my metabolic practitioner that she really took a look at my body and how it operates and the things that it's deficient in and the imbalances, and built out a supplement protocol, nutrition protocol specific to my body so that my body could get to optimal performance. And that was just the biggest change I made.
Totally love it. I feel everyone should be doing that, regardless athlete or not.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. It's like, oh, I'm so tired during the day, or I'm working out harder than ever and I'm eating healthy and like I can't lose weight. It's like there are things happening in your body that you need to dig into and find out. So get your labs done, get a practitioner to help you build a protocol and figure out what your imbalances are, because it literally can make the biggest difference.
Yeah, this is probably a topic for another podcast. Yeah. There's never going to be one medicine that fixes everyone. No. There's never one supplement or one diet that fixes everyone. No. Every single human is so unique, and the eyes and the eye issues that we deal with, and
different ages. It's like you hit a new age bracket and things start happening differently. So it's just so important to consistently do that. Once a year, maybe get your blood work done, just because things are constantly changing for sure.
Love it. Appreciate your time. I'll link everything down below.
Awesome.
I'm super excited. I'm actually going to download your app too.
Oh, thank you.
Use it. I have ADHD and I have sometimes trouble, and I'm started journaling.
Yeah.
But prompts would be super helpful.
Yeah. And I'm trying to make them, for athletes, but also for normal life. That would be great. Let me know how you like it. Give me the feedback.
Thank you. Thanks, Annie, for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.